Ernest Borgnine once joked, "Man, that's a good-looking stagecoach," referring to a motorhome he admired. Behind his humor, though, hid decades of Hollywood secrets. For 60 years, he stayed silent about the co-star who made his life miserable, a person whose temper caused chaos, violent outbursts, and even an infamous coffee-throwing incident that left someone burned. Now, the truth about his toughest moments in Hollywood finally comes out. Ernest Borgnine's road to stardom was anything but ordinary. Born Ernest Borgnine in 1917 in Hamden, Connecticut, he was the son of Italian immigrants chasing the American dream. When he was only 2, his parents separated, and his mother took him back to Italy. He spent 5 years in the small town of Carpi near Modena, speaking only Italian and living a simple life. Then, in 1923, his parents reunited, and the family returned to America. His father changed his name from Camillo to Charles, and their last name was shortened from Borgnino to Borgnine so they could sound more American. That adjustment would be the first of many transformations in Ernest's life. Growing up in New Haven, Connecticut, he wasn't interested in acting at all. He loved sports, not the stage. His high school yearbook didn't mention drama or theater, nothing pointed to the movie star he'd become. After graduating in 1935, Ernest joined the U.S. Navy. He served on the USS Lamberton for 6 years. Just when he was ready to move on in 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Watching his country go to war, he re-enlisted in early 1942. This time, he served on the USS Sylph, a patrol yacht defending the Atlantic coast. The war toughened him and gave him a sense of discipline and teamwork that would later shape his military roles in movies. By the time he left the Navy in 1945, he was a gunner's mate first class, decorated with several service medals. He nearly stayed in the Navy for another decade, but his mother changed his path. She told him he had a strong personality and should try acting. Ernest took her advice, even though he had no idea how to begin. He enrolled in the Randall School of Drama in Hartford, Connecticut, and then joined the Barter Theater in Virginia. The theater had been founded during the Great Depression, where people paid for tickets with food instead of money. Actors were often paid with vegetables. Ernest didn't care. He worked hard and learned everything he could, even cleaning toilets and painting sets when he wasn't performing. One night, while chasing a live chicken on stage that flew into the audience, Ernest realized something important: he could turn even chaos into entertainment. His time at the Barter Theater also introduced him to future stars like Gregory Peck and Patricia Neal. Eventually, he landed a role in The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams. Ernest thought he did terribly, but the audience loved him. Soon, he was performing on Broadway in Harvey, alongside James Stewart. Casting directors didn't know what to do with him at first. His face looked too tough for comedies but too expressive for villains. Yet, watching James Stewart perform every night taught Ernest more than any acting class. He filled notebooks with observations about timing, tone, and emotion. The play ran for nearly 1,800 performances, and by the end, he had become a confident professional actor. Television came next. In 1951, he appeared in a low-budget science fiction show called Captain Video and His Video Rangers. It wasn't glamorous, but it caught the attention of Columbia Pictures, which gave him a small role in The Whistle at Eaton Falls. 2 years later, he landed a breakout part in From Here to Eternity, 1953. He played Sergeant Fatso Judson, a sadistic bully who beats Frank Sinatra's character to death. The performance was so realistic that Sinatra refused to talk to him off camera, and some viewers even sent Borgnine death threats, unable to separate the actor from the role. That role made him famous, but 2 years later, he stunned Hollywood again with Marty, 1955. This time, he played a gentle butcher looking for love, a complete opposite of Fatso Judson. Made for only $343,000, Marty became a massive hit, winning Best Picture. Ernest won the Oscar for Best Actor, beating icons like James Dean and Spencer Tracy. Director Delbert Mann said, "Ernest Borgnine didn't act Marty, he was Marty." Through the 1960s and 70s, he refused to be typecast. In The Dirty Dozen, 1967, he did his own stunts at 50 years old. In The Wild Bunch, 1969, he played a violent outlaw who laughed maniacally during shootouts, a moment that haunted him for years. On television, Borgnine became beloved for his role as Commander Quentin McHale in McHale's Navy. It ran for 4 seasons, and audiences loved his mix of humor and toughness. The character drew heavily from his real Navy experience. Yet, filming wasn't always easy. During one episode, a pyrotechnic explosion injured his face and hands, forcing him to take weeks off. Despite that, he returned and even earned an Emmy nomination. Few know that McHale's Navy inspired a real-life secret operation. In 1965, U.S. Navy officials studied the show's problem-solving tactics, leading to a classified training exercise called Operation McHale. Even into his 60s and 70s, Borgnine refused to slow down. In 1984, he starred in Airwolf, an action-packed series about a high-tech helicopter. During filming in 1985, a helicopter lost control and crashed near him, but his quick reflexes saved his life. Then, in 1998, he surprised everyone by joining SpongeBob SquarePants as the voice of Mermaid Man. His grandson had encouraged him to audition, and Ernest loved it. He recorded 17 episodes over 13 years, with his final session just 2 weeks before his death in 2012. He worked until the very end, one of the oldest active voice actors in the world at 95. Ironically, years earlier, he had rejected television altogether. After winning his Oscar in 1955, he said, "Television is a fad, it'll never last." But after meeting a terminally ill boy who told him his movies made him smile, Ernest changed his mind. From then on, he realized how deeply entertainment could touch people's lives. Behind the fame, Borgnine's personal life was as dramatic as his films. He married 5 times. His first wife, Rhoda Keemans, married him before fame in 1949, and they had a daughter, Nancy, in 1952. But his growing success pulled them apart, and they divorced in 1958. His second wife was fiery Mexican actress Katy Jurado. They married in 1959, but constant fights filled the headlines. By 1963, they divorced. Then came his shortest and most infamous marriage, to Broadway legend Ethel Merman in 1964. Their marriage lasted barely 5 weeks. On their honeymoon in Japan, Merman grew furious when fans constantly mobbed Ernest. After one explosive argument, she threw her diamond and pearl ring into a koi pond and left him soon after. In her autobiography, she included a blank chapter titled My Marriage to Ernest Borgnine. He later said, that blank page hurt more than anything she could have written. He married Donna Rancourt in 1965, and they had 3 children, Sharon, Christopher, and Diana. But by 1972, that marriage ended too. Then, later that year, he met Norwegian businesswoman Tove Tresnes in Las Vegas. She knew his reputation but gave him a chance. They married in 1973 and stayed together for nearly 40 years, his longest and happiest marriage. Tove founded a successful beauty company, and Ernest proudly supported her, joking that he was the oldest Avon lady alive. He credited her love for keeping him going strong into his 90s. When he passed away in 2012, she was by his side, holding his hand. But not all of Ernest's challenges came from romance, some came from fellow actors. During the filming of The Poseidon Adventure, 1972, Borgnine clashed with Shelley Winters. The movie followed survivors of a capsized ship, and both actors played a married couple. Winters, known for her intensity, constantly argued over scripts, arriving with 20 pages of notes and rewriting her own lines. Borgnine found it exhausting, especially during one brutal underwater scene that took 14 hours and 65 takes to complete. Still, he later admitted her performance was worth it. Winters earned an Oscar nomination, and he called her a force of nature, difficult but brilliant. Years earlier, he had another tense collaboration with one of Hollywood's legends, Spencer Tracy. They worked together on Bad Day at Black Rock, 1955. Tracy, an acting giant, often improvised, keeping co-stars off balance. Borgnine, still new to major roles, was nervous. During one intense scene, he forgot his lines 7 times, and Tracy's frustration was clear. The pressure built until they filmed their famous diner fight, a raw, realistic brawl that took 14 takes. Borgnine accidentally punched Tracy for real, but Tracy brushed it off. After filming, he respected Borgnine's dedication and later recommended him for Marty, the role that made him a star. Then came Johnny Guitar, 1954, where Borgnine witnessed one of Hollywood's worst feuds. The film starred Joan Crawford and Mercedes McCambridge, two powerful women who despised each other. The hatred began when Crawford learned McCambridge had once dated her husband. From that moment, Crawford made life on set unbearable. She threw McCambridge's costumes onto a highway, forcing crew members to chase them down. During one heated day, the two actresses got into a screaming match that turned violent. Borgnine and fellow actor Sterling Hayden had to separate them. Crawford's rage didn't stop there. She once threw scalding coffee at a production assistant, burning him badly. Ernest later said, "Joan was like a ticking time bomb. You never knew what would set her off." Yet, on the last day of filming, she surprised everyone by giving the crew personalized Pepsi bottles. Her husband was the CEO of the company. But even that small gesture couldn't erase her reputation for fury. Before she left, she threatened to destroy McCambridge's career, shouting it loud enough for everyone to hear. Years later, Ernest Borgnine looked back on that film and said, "Working with Joan was like walking on eggshells while juggling dynamite. She was brilliant, but boy, was she scary." From a young sailor who almost never acted to an Oscar-winning legend who worked until his last breath, Ernest Borgnine lived a life full of challenges, triumphs, and unforgettable stories. He faced bullies, survived wars, laughed through pain, and loved deeply. Even when surrounded by chaos, his warmth and humor never faded. When he died in 2012 at age 95, Hollywood didn't just lose an actor, it lost one of its toughest, kindest, and most enduring souls.